If you're a DIYer like I am, you can learn to use your cordless drill like the pros by knowing when to change the settings on the drill. Let me show you what the different settings are on a DeWalt, Milwaukee, or other brands like Ryobi or Rigid, all the common brands. Let me start with the simple settings and we will work up to the more complex ones. The two most basic are the trigger and the direction. The trigger is what you pull on to make the drill bit turn. The more you pull on the trigger, the faster this part, which is known as the chuck, turns. So if you're drilling into a harder material or you want a really clean hole, you're going to want to pull the trigger more to have a faster spin on the drill bit. But you don't want to use a fast speed when you are screwing a screw into a piece of wood. Because if you use a fast speed, you can strip the screw head and then it's a wasted screw. The direction button determines whether the chuck turns clockwise or counterclockwise. Clockwise is referred to as forward, and counterclockwise is referred to as reverse. They use forward and reverse because that's the direction it would either screw a screw forward into a piece of wood or reverse to back it out of the piece of wood. The switch is usually under the barrel just above the trigger. Some direction switches have a middle setting which does not allow the chuck to turn at all. Not sure why that is there, but in many drills it is there. On both my Milwaukee and DeWalt drills, the direction switch has a little icon on it that indicates which direction it's going to go. So one of them, it has the arrow pointing forwards. That means it's going to go in the forward direction. On the other side, it has the arrow pointing backwards, meaning it's going to go in the reverse direction. To set the direction, you press the direction button that you want to use. So this is the forward button. I would push that in to go forwards. And on the other side, we have the reverse button. I would press that in if I wanted it to go in reverse. Your drill often also has a speed range setting on the top of the drill. Here's the setting on my DeWalt drill. My Milwaukee has a very similar 1 and 2 setting that you can change. The speed range setting works in conjunction with the trigger to control the speed of the drill. Setting 1 is a lower range of speeds and setting 2 is a higher range of speeds. So as I mentioned before, anytime you need to drill into a harder material or you want a cleaner hole, like if you were drilling a pocket hole, you would want to set it on the number 2, the higher speed settings, because that will give you a cleaner hole and be able to drill through harder material. When using the screwdriver mode on your drill, it's best to set the speed setting at 1 so that you don't have too much force going on to the drill bit and then it'll strip the head. This is also helpful when you're unscrewing screws from deep wood, because now you have more control to put the screw into the wood or in reverse to take it out without stripping the head. In the chuck area of the drill, it also has a mode setting dial, which controls what mode the drill is using. On the DeWalt, there are 2 modes. The drill mode, indicated by this drill icon, and then the numbers, which is the screwdriver mode. On my Milwaukee drill, it has these 2 modes, plus it has a hammer drill mode, indicated by the hammer icon on the dial that you spin on the Milwaukee to change the mode that it's using. Check your drill to see what modes it contains. The drilling mode is the simplest to understand. It's the mode we use when we are drilling a hole into wood or metal. The screwdriver mode is what you would use when you're screwing screws into wood or metal. When you put it in this mode, you also can then set these numbers. These numbers refer to the torque or the resistance that will stop the drill moving if it meets that resistance when you're screwing a screw in. This allows you to better control how far a screw drives into a piece of wood. For example, if you needed to screw a very long screw, you would want a high torque setting so that it doesn't stop screwing when it meets a little bit of resistance. But if you're screwing into, let's say, a thin piece of plywood, you wouldn't want a very high setting for the resistance or the torque, because Otherwise, it'll drive the screw right through the plywood. If you're putting drywall screws into a piece of drywall, you don't want a lot of torque, so use one of the lowest settings. This may allow you to drive screws without using a dimpler, which is a special drill bit that automatically controls the depth of drywall screws when you're doing a lot of drywall. So experiment with the different torque settings on your drill to see which works best for the different applications that you want to use it for. Now, it's important to note, this torque setting, these numbers, only apply when the drill is in that screwdriver mode. They don't affect any other mode. So if you're in the drill mode, these numbers don't have any impact on that mode. The hammer drill mode, if your drill has it, is what you would use when you need to drill into concrete or brick. You need a special drill bit that is specifically designed for concrete or brick. And what the hammer drill does is it adds a pulsing action, and you can actually feel it in the drill. And it adds that pulsing action that allows that drill bit to go through the concrete or the brick much smoother than just force that you would try to put on. If you're looking to buy a cordless drill or upgrade, I would suggest you consider one that has this hammer drill feature, because I know I have found it so helpful when I'm having to drill into concrete or into brick. It just makes that so much smoother. My Milwaukee drill does have the hammer drill feature, but my DeWalt drill does not. The last area I want to cover is the proper loading and unloading of drill bits in the drill. To get the drill bit to be securely held, you have to have these three jaws clamp the drill bit in the chuck. Now, to tighten the drill bit in the chuck, put the drill bit in and spin the chuck until it is almost tight. Then hold this part of the chuck with your hand and put the drill in the forward driving position and then pulse it until it spins in your hand. That means it's tight. Now, be careful, because as you saw, I was holding on to the chuck and it was spinning. You notice I have gloves on. There's a reason, because otherwise it can really tear up my hand. So make sure you're wearing gloves, hold that front part of the chuck, and then pulse it until it spins in your hand. Now you know the drill bit is secure in those three jaws. To loosen the bit, put the drill in reverse, and then similarly hold this part of the chuck and pulse the drill. You'll see that you will then be holding the chuck and the three jaws will spin. They've now loosened the drill bit and you can take it out. Because different drill bits are different sizes, you can make this opening larger or smaller quickly by holding that part of the chuck and then pulsing the drill one way or the other. So in the reverse direction, it makes that opening larger. In the forward direction, it makes that opening smaller. So when you're switching drill bits, that's a quick way to make the jaws open or close quickly. There are three common types of drill bits that you're going to use in your cordless drill. The first is a small drill bit with a round end that goes into the jaws. This can be put into the jaws in any direction. The second is a slightly larger drill bit, and most of these have the round end, but there are three smooth areas on that round end. Those need to be lined up with the three jaws of the chuck. And the third is a hex screwdriver bit. This has 6 sides, and so what you want to do is to line up 3 of those flat sides with the 3 jaws of the chuck so that it is securely held when you tighten it. As a DIYer, you can now use your cordless drill like the pros do, because you know how to change the settings based on what you're using the drill for. I'll link in the description down below to some of the common cordless drills that many DIYers are interested in getting. If you found this video interesting, here are some other videos I think you'll also find helpful. Thanks for watching.